Friday. There were rumours in the market that some of the sovereign nations were going to have to dump their gold to pay off their debts, but I don't know. Rumours or reasons tend to be made up after the fact. What was interesting was that gold had such a bad day on a dollar down day as well, which is usually not the case. I'm going to take a look at perhaps where it might be heading. You can see I've got this recent support line. It's smashed through that, which was support back in May, end of May 2012. The daily's not going to tell us a lot. I'll switch to the weekly. I've drawn on the fib from the entire wave up, which has given us a 38.2 retracement at 1447. Now that's not very far away given the movement here. 50%, 1300. That seems a huge move, but could well happen. Certainly not going to be chasing a value entry until I see some sort of market move, but I will be keeping my eye on these sort of levels and see whether it coincides with a bit of support coming into the market. Not one to catch. Anyway, moving on to the Aussie dollar. Oh, still on the weekly. Get into the daily. Really nice bounce here. I assume that was late last week from recent support and resistance level. Probably drawn that slightly incorrectly actually. That's probably more valid at that point. And we've got a wave count here as well. We go 1, 2, 3, ABC for 4 and 5. So that leads me to believe we may have topped out temporarily. If we dial into the hourly, again I've drawn a fib on the recent up move, and we found support at 38.2%. It's bounced nicely off that. Although I'm doubtful we head for new highs, I think we'll probably, or what I'll be looking for, is us to roll over here, try and make it back up, and perhaps fail, and then I might be looking next week at some point to enter a short on the Aussie, but only if the price action tells me that I'm right in my assumption. So we've got a slightly lower low here than the previous one, so if we can get a lower high as well, I'll be looking to perhaps find a short entry for that. And it's a similar story on the euro really. Move up in the daily. If we go back out for a second, well, that's a bit busy. Again, I've got the fib on the recent move, and we're touching 38.2% retracement of that move, and a bit of a resistance line level here that's hit a couple of times, although probably wouldn't expect it to hold necessarily, but we've certainly got a strong correction in the euro after that outside reversal day back on the 4th. And going back into the hourly, if I get that right, we see the 13,130 line in there, which held, and again slightly shallower this time rather than the Aussie, but we've got a slightly lower low on Friday, and after the data out in the US, the dollar took a little bit of a dip in the afternoon on Friday, sending the euro back to testing these levels. Again, if it fails here Monday and doesn't break this level, I might be looking for a short entry on the euro. But again, the price action has got to confirm that I'm right to do so. A lower low on its own means probably nothing. I'd like it to be coupled with a lower high. So that's looking at short the Aussie and possibly the euro, depending on what happens next week. Now, where's my oil chart? This is an interesting one, but it's a bit late to the party. Again, oil and gold, huge sell-offs on Friday. What I wanted to really point out on oil was the move that you could have made during the week, as we've sold off quite heavily at the beginning of April, and the correction, if we dial into the hourly, the correction wasn't actually that difficult to play or read. You've got a fib level here, and the correction rose in a nice channel or flag, touched the 50% retracement, and then rolled over. And when it did, that started to sell off. We're still selling off at the very last action on Friday. Similarly to gold, actually, the hourly chart was very close to its lows as we closed. In oil, not a lot I can do with oil or gold. If you're in them and you made this move, great, well done. If you didn't, I can't see an entry. I wouldn't be trying to catch it here, and I certainly wouldn't be chasing it, so just have to let it go. If I flick to the FTSE for a bit, I just want to do a comparison with the US market, if I can find it. Let's go into the US market first. If we can see this, obviously they bang on daily about new intraday highs and whatever. The price has been on a huge run since November, but the FTSE, usually markets sort of go in step, but the FTSE, you can see, if I make it a little bit clearer, has not followed suit. It got to a high early mid last month and has posted a correction. I'm not sure, because I'll do this live, I'm not sure whether the correction hit any level. No, nothing there. It's a standard ABC correction, and again slightly lower low, similar to the pattern that we were looking at in the euro and the Aussie. We've got a slightly lower low here after a correction. Now after correction we should go on to make new highs, but if we don't, and if it pauses here, although we're on a daily time frame and not an hourly, that would give me cause to think that we might want to short it. Now we're already, the correction, we've retraced 61.8% of the correction, so we're at a possible point where we may roll over. If I dial into the hourly, I can't see really a level to play it from, so for the moment I will sit on my hands. But again, I think the theme that's running through this is I'm looking for more short entries than I'm looking for longs next week, but we'll see what happens. As far as news, we've got Sunday, well, tonight, early hours of the morning, depending on your time zone. Bank of Japan governor will be talking about how much money he's going to print, I assume, or how much he's not going to print, so we might have some action in the yen there. Tuesday we've got US housing starts, which could be very important. There's a lot of data that's come out in the US that's been weaker than forecast recently. Retail sales, jobs. If housing was to show weakness as well, that could be an issue for the dollar, because it's the US recovery is sort of predicated on the recovery in the housing market. So that's an interesting one to watch. And then Tuesday also we've got Draghi making a statement or press conference. So I can't imagine he's going to say he's going to print a load of euros. I doubt the Germans would let him, so I'm not really expecting anything there. But with my thoughts on shorting the euro and him up on Tuesday, I will keep a close eye on that. And if it's a choice of making the Aussie short or the euro short, prior to Draghi speaking, I might well take the Aussie and leave the Euro until Draghi does his bit. But we shall see. Other than that, I don't think there's much up next week. That's certainly getting to be long enough video for the weekly review. Tomorrow night I shall post a shorter daily review and see if there's anything that's developed further, and any immediate updates I'll tweet out as usual. So but that's about it from me. So thank you very much, and good luck to everybody next week.